So if you see these string matching algorithms, so they are also called string searching algorithm. Okay. Actually, this method is to find a place where actually one string are found within the larger string. So here normally we are given two strings. One is larger string, another one is a small string. Then we are finding this smaller string where the smaller string is appearing at different places of the larger string. Okay, so that is what actually the meaning of string searching. Okay, so normally these text editing programs, they frequently need to find all occurrences of a pattern in the text. Okay, so here as I told you, we are given two strings actually, that is text string and another one is pattern, T and P. So where length of T is N, length of pattern is M. So there are 1 to N characters in T, 1 to M characters in pattern. So we are finding the occurrences of the pattern in the given text. So always, obviously, you know that M is less than or equal to N. As I told you, pattern is a small string when compared to text, which is a larger string. Okay. Now, actually, if P occurs within shift in S in T, then we call S is a valid shift. Otherwise, we call S as invalid shift. So we will see what is this valid shift and all by looking at the algorithm. So if you see this small example where T is given as AB, AB, CA, BD, AB, CA, ABC, and the small string or pattern is ABC. Now look at this example and identify where this pattern is available, at what shifts, okay, the pattern is visible. You see, just one. If you look at here, the ABC is visible in T at T of 3, starting at T of 3. So that is the first occurrence. The second occurrence is, you see here, that is at T of 9. And the third occurrence is last, that is at T of 13. So the given pattern ABC is available at the string at T of 3, at T of 9, at T of 13. This is how we have to search the given string. Okay. So normally in database searching, in search engines like Google and OpenFind, okay. So in while finding a keyword in a file, we all in those applications we use these string matching algorithms. We have different types of string matching algorithms. So as part of our course, we will discuss first two, that is naive based approach, that is naive string matching algorithm. The second one is Rabin-Karp algorithm. This is not KRAP, K-R-A-P. This is K-A-R-P. So the Rabin-Karp algorithm. The third one is string matching with finite automata. The fourth one is the Knuth-Morris-Pratt algorithm. So in your skilling and all, you are asked to implement this string matching with finite automata and Knuth-Morris-Pratt algorithm. But as part of our theory, we will cover these first two algorithms, that is naive-based approach and the Rabin-Karp string matching algorithm, right? So first we will look into the first one, that is naive-based approach for string matching. Okay. Now the naive algorithm finds all valid shifts. Okay. All valid shifts means at what places this pattern is appearing in the given string. Okay. So for example, P1 to M equal to T S plus 1 S plus M for each of the N minus M plus 1 possible values of S. So then you can say this is a valid shift. Okay. So this is the algorithm. Before going to explaining this algorithm, I will give you one example. After understanding this example, you can easily understand that algorithm. Okay. So here, assume that T is the given string, that is A, B, C, A, B, D, A, B, C, D, E. Pattern is ABD, right? Hemant Krishna, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Okay, fine. Right. Now the thing is, the pattern is compared with T. So here, first A is compared with A, then second character B is compared with B, then third character of pattern D is compared with C. So in first comparison, there is no issues, there is a match, and in second character comparison, there is a match, but in third comparison, there is a mismatch. So D is not equal to C. So that is a third comparison, there is a mismatch. So the mismatch will occur after 3 comparisons. So then we see what we do is next we increment one character in the given actual string. Okay, then it will be like this. Then A is in first comparison, A is compared with B, right? Okay, now we are taking the string after by leaving this first alphabet in the first place of the given actual lengthy string, we started from the second. So this B is, the B is compared with A, right? So in the first comparison itself mismatch occurs. So A is not equal to B. That is why what we do is we increment T by 1. So next we compare C with A, right? Look at the next slide. Now A is compared with C in step 3, right? Now what happens? Once again mismatch is occurring at one comparison. Now increment 1, one more character. Then see what happens. Now A is matching with A, B is matching with B, D is matching. So there is a valid shift available here after 3 places from the string. So at 4th place, so the valid shift occurs. Okay. So to find out this first occurrence of the string, before that, how many comparisons we made? Just try to count them. Now in this slide, so we find the valid shift, or the given string is found in the given pattern is found in the string. So match is found after 3 comparisons. Very good. But to arrive the solution, before, how many comparisons we made? See, we have started here. Here 3 comparisons is made. Mismatch occurs. So this is 3 plus, here 1 comparison. So 3 plus 1, 4. Here one more. 4 plus 1, 5. 5, then 3 comparisons, 8. So total 8 comparisons we made. Total 8 comparisons we made to find the substring. To find the substring P in T. Okay? Understood? So like that we proceed further till the string reaches up to this position. Okay, that is n minus m plus 1. Okay, so this is iteratively done to find all occurrences. As of now, we have found only first occurrence. So this can be repeated further, or you can proceed further so that you will find all occurrences of the given pattern in the string. Okay. Now come to this algorithm. So here n is length of the given string, m is length of the pattern. For s is 0 to n minus m, s is 0 to n minus m. Okay. What we are doing, when s is equal 0, we are comparing pattern and text string character by character. If all the characters are matching, then p1 to m equal to t of s plus 1 to s plus m. So then you print it is a valid shift. So if it is anywhere, if mismatch is occurring, then it is not a valid shift, then s is incremented to 1. Okay, s is incremented to 1. Again we do comparisons. Okay, and if a match is there, it is a valid shift, so we can print the s. Otherwise s is incremented. So this s is repeated up to n minus m. Okay. So this is how the naive string matching algorithm will work. So the principle is in naive string matching algorithm, okay, we need to compare each and every character in the pattern with every character in the given string. Okay, whenever a match is found, we have to return that occurrence of that matching character, right? So this is how the naive based algorithm will work. Just go through this example. Identify at what place the pattern found is in T. All of you do that. So just remember the principle of naive string matching algorithm. So in naive string matching algorithm, so the algorithm slides the pattern one by one. It slides the pattern one by one. So after each slide, it one by one checks characters at the current shift, and if all characters matches, then it will print the match. Okay. So now what we do is, Harika, Harika, are you there? Jyoti Priya,
Sir.
what is the answer for this?
Sir, can you hear me, sir?
What is the answer to the problem which is displayed on the screen?
BAB, sir. Have to find the naive string match now.
Apply naive string matching, and where is the shift occurring? Valid shift.
BA, okay.
PAD, where it is appearing?
At last, sir, again.
Last means at what shift? At what position?
One, two,
Hmm? What is the shift?
three.
Is it visible what I am showing?
Yes, sir. B.
Yeah. What is this position? This is 9th position, right?
Yes, sir.
So
At 9.
The shift S is 9.
Yes, sir.
So to arrive this answer, okay, how many comparisons we made?
2, sir.
2. Okay. So first we start with this A. So
Yes,
first this
1.
A is compared with B. Mismatch is occurring, one comparison. Then you slide to the next character.
B, sir.
B is compared with B. Okay, found, match is there. Then
C.
next character A is compared with C. Mismatch is occur. So in the second iteration, mismatch is occurring after 2 comparisons.
Yes, sir. 2 comparison.
That is why you slide one more character.
E.
Third iteration, C is compared with B.
B. Mismatch one.
Mismatch is occur. So once again you slide one more character. When A is compared with B, mismatch occurs.
Mismatch.
Like that, in every iteration, you identify how many comparisons is made, and the total you do that until you reach at 9th position. In 9th position, you made 3 comparisons to find the answer, right?
Yes, sir. B, A, D. All are
So,
similar. Match one.
So count all the comparisons you made, then you will get the total number of comparisons you made to arrive at the answer. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So that is how you can do in string matching algorithm.
Yes, sir.
Right. Now we will move on to the another string matching algorithm, that is Rabin-Karp algorithm. Okay. This slide is visible, Rabin-Karp. Hemant Krishna, slide is visible. Rabin-Karp.
Yes, sir, visible, sir. Yes, sir, visible.
Okay. So, like the Navy algorithm, the Rabin-Karp algorithm also slides the pattern one by one. Okay. The principle is same. It will slide the pattern one by one, but unlike this Navy algorithm, the Rabin-Karp algorithm matches the hash value of the pattern with the hash value of the current string of this text. So here the matching is done based on the hash value. That is the important thing we have to remember with respect to Rabin-Karp. Okay. So Rabin-Karp algorithm matches the hash value of the pattern with the hash value of the substring. Okay. So as I told you, if hash value is matches, then it will start comparing the characters one by one. If hash value is not matches, then it will go to the next 3 more characters or 4 more characters based on the size of the substring. Okay. So we will see this algorithm. So Rabin-Karp string matching algorithm is to find the pattern in a more efficient way, because here the matching is based on the hash value. Okay. So it also checks the pattern by moving window one by one, but without checking all the characters for all cases. It finds the hash value. When the hash value is matched, then only it tries to check each character. So this procedure makes the algorithm more efficient compared to this Navy string matching algorithm. Okay. So if you see the working of Rabin-Karp, so given a pattern P, okay, where P denotes its corresponding hash value, small p denotes its corresponding hash value, and a text T which contains n characters 1 to n. Okay, let T of s denote the hash value of the string. Okay, so this T of s plus 1, s plus 1, s plus m for s is equal 0 to n minus m. Okay, so here also the number of iterations made is 0 to n minus 1, n minus m, but the shift size is actually the length of the pattern. Okay. So certainly S is a valid shift if and only if this hash value of the pattern is matches with the hash value of the string. Okay. So to do this, what we do is we choose some prime number q. So it will fits within a computer word to speed up computations. Normally we will take 255. Okay. So first we go through some example before understanding this algorithm. Okay, here also this length of the string, length of the pattern is there. Then we are calculating this hash value. After calculating hash value, actually what we are doing is we are calculating the hash value of the pattern as well as hash value of the text string. Then we compare P with the T naught. If they match, okay, then we start the comparing the characters in the string one by one. Sometimes what will happen is the hash value will be same, but actual characters are differs. Okay, for example, if one string contains 1 2 3, okay, another string contains 1 3 2, 1 2 3 1 3 2, hash value is same, but still the characters are different. So in that case, we are what we do is we compare characters one by one. So when they are same, then only we will proceed. We will move forward. Okay. So here, take this example, Rabin-Karp example. So given this T is given string is 3141592655 and P is 26 here. P is 26. We choose some prime number Q. Okay, we choose prime number Q, that is 11 is chosen. Okay, so we need to find out whether P is appearing in this given string or not. Okay, so first we are calculating hash value P mod Q. So that is 26 mod 11, which is equal to 4. Then here this 31 mod 11. 31 mod 11 is 9. But now 9 is not matching with the 4. 9 is not matching with the 4. So that is why this is not a valid shift. Okay. Understood? Here first we are calculating the hash value of the pattern. What is the pattern given? 26. Pattern given is 26. We are searching this. Now you should not call it as 26. It is 26. Okay. So the pattern given is 26. So 26 mod 11. That is okay. 26 mod 11 4. So here. So first two characters are 31. So calculate 31 mod 11. That is 9. So what is the pattern hash value? 4. Substring value is 9. So 9 is not matching with 4. So what you do is next you slide to the next character. So next character is 14. 14 then followed by 14 mod 11, that is 3. Pattern hash value is 4. So 3 is not equal to 4. Right? So here hash value is not matching. So slide to the next character. So the next one is 41. So 41 mod 11, that is 8. And 8 is not matching with the 4, this hash value. So go to next. Slide one more character. Okay. And what you will get? Next one is 15. So 15 mod 11, 4. What is the pattern hash value? Earlier we have calculated here pattern hash value, which is 4. Okay. So here 15 mod 11, which is also equal to 4. Okay. So here in the string we have found 15 whose hash value is 4. But what is our pattern? We are trying to search whether 26 is available or not. 26 hash value is also 4. Now you see the hash value of the pattern is equal to the hash value of the string. But is it a perfect match? Our string is 26, but here the available is 15, even though hash value is same. So this kind of situation is called spurious hit. Okay, excuse me. Spurious hit. Spurious hit is one where actual characters of the string is not matching, but their hash value is matching. Their hash value is same, but actual characters is not matching. Actual characters in our pattern 26 is there, but here 15 is there, which is not matching. So when what we do is when hash value is same, we try to compare each and every character. Earlier, when the hash value is not same, just we are sliding, we are moving forward. But when hash value is same, we need to find out whether it is spurious hit or not. If it is spurious hit, just you slide once again. If it is not spurious hit, then it is actual match. Okay, then your answer is found. Okay, so since here it is a spurious hit, just you slide. Next string is 59. So 59 mod 11, which is equal to 4. Okay, once again, 59 is not matching with your 26. So just move forward. It is a spurious hit. When you move forward, next is 92. 92 mod 11, which is 4. So which is equal to our hash value of the string. Once again, spurious hit is there. So just move forward. When you move forward, 26 mod 11, that is 4, which is equal to the our pattern 26. So now actual match is found. So this position is returned to the algorithm. Okay. So here exact match is found because 26 is found. Then once again, actually in our string algorithms, we are finding all occurrences, not only single occurrence. We are finding all occurrences. So that is why you continue further by incrementing or by sliding over to the next character. So next character is 65, 65 mod 11, which is not equal to 4. So move on to next one, that is 53. So 53, which is 9 not equal to 4. Then move on to next character. Like that you proceed. Here in the given string, the pattern is available at only one place. Okay, and that is written. This is how the Rabin-Karp example works. Okay, so here the important point is first you try to find out the hash value of the pattern, then find out the hash value of the string. Okay, not all the characters of the string, only characters, number of characters which matches with the pattern. So further you compute the hash value. If hash value of the string and pattern are same, then compare them character by character. Otherwise, just slide over to the next. Sometimes hash values are same, then hash values are same, but the characters are not same. So that is called a spurious hit. So identify where spurious hits are occurring, right? If spurious hit is happened, then move on to or slide over to the next character, then compare one by one. So this will continue. So this is how the Rabin-Karp algorithm will work. Okay. So you have any questions?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Hemant.
Sir, that prime number can be chosen only 11, or we can take any prime number,
No,
sir?
no. You can take any.
Okay, okay, sir.
You
Thank
can
you.
take any number you can take, not only 11. Okay. So next we will move on to the next topic. Is the session 8 slide is visible?
Sir, no, sir.
Now?
Now it is visible, sir.
Okay, thank you. So with that, we have seen introduction of algorithms, where we have seen what is algorithm, time complexities, followed by some examples, right? Now we will look into the another topic, that is first, in fact this is the first method of algorithm design. Okay, so as I told you, there are many algorithm design techniques are available, like divide and conquer, greedy method, dynamic programming, right, backtracking, branch and bound. So in the coming sessions we will discuss about all these techniques. First we discuss about divide and conquer methodology. Okay, so in each and every design technique, what we do is, first we see what is the general procedure, general method. That means how this methodology is used to solve the problem. Okay, then after that we will take some problems, example problems, and apply this divide and conquer methodology to solve them, or any design technique methodology to solve them. Okay, so first we look into the methodology of this divide and conquer. Is very simple. The given problem is divided into k subproblems. Okay, k is any integer, right? Then these subproblems are solved independently. After getting the solution of the subproblems, the solution of the subproblems are merged, are combined to get the solution of the original problem. Okay, so divide the problem, solve the subproblem independently, then combine the solutions of the subproblem to get the solution to the original problem. Okay, so this is how the general method of divide and conquer will work. There are so many examples are there, like binary search, quick sort, merge sort, convex hull. Okay, so many algorithms are so many examples, problems are there for this divide and conquer technique. Okay, so this is how this algorithm will work: divide, conquer, combine. So divide means the problems are divided into subproblems. Conquer means subproblems are solved recursively to get the solution. Then in combined phase, the solutions of the subproblems are combined to get the solution for original problem. So this is the algorithm. This is the algorithm for divide and conquer. You see, here the first one is keyword algorithm. Name of the algorithm is D&C, that means divide and conquer. What we are passing? We are passing P, problem P. Okay, P stands for problem. Now, if problem is small, check whether problem is small or not. So for that you use this function small of P. Small of P checks whether problem is small or big. If it is a small problem, you need not to apply any divide and conquer methodology. Yes or no? So normally this divide and conquer methodology is applied when the problem size is big. If it is a small problem, you need not to apply any D&C method, divide and conquer method. So that is why the problem is small, just return the solution of the problem. Problem is small, then return the solution of this problem. For example, if problem is big, then we go to the else part. If problem is big, then we go to the else part. So what is there in else part? There are 3 steps. That is divide, conquer and combine. So here first divide the given problem into k subproblems P1, P2, Pk. We are dividing the given problem into k subproblems. Right? Then after that, we are applying this divide and conquer to each of these subproblems. Okay. Then finally, return this solution of the subproblems by combining. Okay, right? Divide, conquer, and combine. Okay. So this is how the flow of divide and conquer technique can be explained. So here we are using different functions like small. You see, the small is a function procedure. Then we are using some procedure to divide this problem into subproblems. Okay, and we are applying some methodology recursively, same DNC methodology recursively to solve the subproblems. And finally, we are using this combine method to get the solution for the big problem by combining the solutions of small problems. Okay. So the flow of the technique can be explained by using these functions small, combine, etc. Okay. So actually the purpose of small is to check whether problem is big or small. So as a user, we just know what is the purpose of small. Similarly, combine. It will combine the solutions of the subproblems to get the solution for the original problem. But do you know how this combine will work? We don't know. Similarly, small, do you know how it will check? How we will check whether problem is big or small? We don't know. So this type of functions are called abstract functions, where the meaning is defined, the meaning is well known to us, but implementation details are not required, not known to us. The functions like small, combine, DNC, divide. So we know the purpose of those functions, but we don't know the implementation details. So such functions are called abstract functions. So if you explain the flow of the algorithm by using abstract functions, we can call it as control abstraction. So you can say that this algorithm is control abstraction for divide and conquer. Okay, because we are using abstract functions. Understood? Why this is called control abstraction? Because we are using some abstract functions like small, DNC, combine, where we know the purpose of those functions and we don't know exact implementation of those. Okay. So this is how the divide and conquer algorithm will work. Now we will look into the time complexity. Okay. The problem is small. The time taken by the divide and conquer algorithm is G of n. Otherwise, what is the time? Otherwise, how much time it will take? Because we are dividing the given problem into k subproblems. So the first subproblem will take T of n1, right? The first subproblem will take T of n1, and the second subproblem will take T of n2. This is second subproblem which will take T of n2. Then third subproblem will take T of n3. Similarly, the kth subproblem will take T of nk. Right? Now you see you are combining all this. You are combining all these solutions of the subproblems to get the solution for the big problem. So the time is f of n. Combining will take f of n. Okay? Because we are dividing the given problem into k subproblems. So the time required is T of n1 plus T of n2 plus T of nk. After dividing and solving them, we are combining them. So for combining, it will take f of n. So the total time complexity will be T of n1 plus T of n2 plus T of nk plus f of n. Okay. So this is the generic time complexity expression for your divide and conquer technique. Okay. Remember this. Of course, the result of your algorithms, almost all the algorithms which are solved by using this divide and conquer is recursive algorithms. So the recursive algorithms are solved by using two methods. One method is already we have seen in the previous classes, that is the substitution method. Another one is Master's theorem. So in this session, we will try to solve different recursive relations by using these two methods. Okay. So first example is, all of you note down this example and try to solve them. So first we see the substitution method, then followed by Master's theorem. Okay. All of you note down this example. Consider the case in which a equal to 2, b is equal to 2, let t of 1 is 2 and f of n is n. So we have 2t of n by 2 plus n. Okay. So forget about this at this moment. This statement is required for when we are discussing about Master's theorem. For solving this, by solving this recursive equation by using substitution method, it is not required. Okay. So just to take t of n is 2t of n by 2 plus n, right? Then so all of you try to solve this problem by using substitution method. So what is the problem given? So t of n is 2t of n by 2 plus n. So this can be solved by using what method? First we look into the substitution method. Okay. So when t of n is 2t of n by 2 plus n, just try to write what is t of n by 2. What is t of n by 2? Just in place of n, put n by 2. Okay. So what you will get? 2t Harika. Harika, are you there? Sai Manoj. Sai Manoj.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what is the value of T of n by 2?
2t, sir.
Yes. Just in place of n.
T of n is 2 into T of n by 2 plus n, sir. So T of n by 2 will be 2 into T of n by 4 plus n by 2.
T of n by 4 plus
n by 2.
n by 2. Very
So
good. Similarly, what is T of n by 4?
n by 4 will be 2 into T of n by 8 plus n by 4.
Right. 2 into T of n by
8 plus n by 4.
Plus n by 4. Like that you can write any number of times, right?
Yes, sir.
Now in substitution method, just we substitute T of n by 2 value here. So what is T of n?
T of n equals to 2 of
2 into, right.
2 into 2
You write T of n
into,
by 2 value. That is this value you should write here.
yes,
What do you get?
2 into T per 2 T of n by 4.
Right.
Plus n by 2.
Plus n by 2. Very good.
Plus n.
Plus
n.
Plus n. Right. So what is this value? It will be 2
4.
square.
Yes.
Is
2 square into T
of
n by 4 plus n plus 2n, sir.
Plus n plus n. Okay, once again, 2 square, this T of n by 4 value you substitute. What is T of n by 4?
2 into T of n by 8 plus n by 4.
T of n by 8 plus
n by 4.
n by 4
Plus 2n.
Plus 2n. This n plus n, 2n.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Now what is this value?
2 cube into T of n by 8.
n by 8. n by 8 you can write like this. n by 2 cube.
Yes,
can I write like this?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Plus
2 cube into
2 square into n by
4 n, sir.
n plus 2n?
3n.
3n. So if you extend further like this,
2 power n into
some k value, 2 power k
into T of
n by
2 power k
2 power k
plus k plus 1 an
plus kn. Very good. Now initial values are known to us. In recursive algorithms, T of n is some constant value. Okay, say it is some Cn, you can call it as C, constant. So when you will get T of 1 here, when n is equal to 2 power k, when n is equal to 2 power k, it will 2 power k means n T of
1
plus, then what is k here?
K is log n.
Log n. Yes or no? N is equal to 2 power k means k is log n.
Log n to the base.
Right. So it is log n
into n.
So this is T of 1 is C. So this is Cn plus n log n. Cn plus n log n, right? So T of n is Cn plus n log n. This is the time complexity expression after applying substitution method, right?
Yes,
now,
sir.
if you express it in big O, what is the order? Order of big O of
n log n.
Huh?
N log n.
Right. Here there are two terms. One is Cn, another one is n log n. Which is the bigger term? N log n. Because we are ignoring the smaller terms.
Yes.
So it is order of
N log n.
N log n. Okay. So this is the time complexity of this recursive equation. Okay. So this is how the substitution method will work. Understood?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now I will give you one more assignment. All of you will solve that and tell me the answer. Okay, this is what we have seen previously. The PPT is visible. So this is what we have seen in the previous example. It is n log n, right? Is it visible?
Yes, sir. It is.
So this is the example we have solved by using substitution method. Now all of you will do the second example. T of n is 4t of n by 2 plus n square. All of you do this. Just note down this and try to solve on your own. I will give 2 minutes time, 2 to 3 minutes. Take this. Bhuvana, are you there, Bhuvana?
Yes, sir.
Are you solving this problem?
Yes, sir. I just started, sir.
Okay. Just share it through chat box. Just upload your file of solving that.
Yes, sir. Once done, I'll upload, sir.
Yeah. Sai Manoj, are you solving?
Yes, sir. I'll upload once I solve it.
Yeah. Ananya,
Yes, sir. Sir?
yes.
Yes, sir. I'm solving it, sir.
Yeah, okay. Understood?
Yes, sir. I have understood.
Make it fast. Okay, completed. If you have any questions, you can chat. You can write your queries, questions through chat box. Nagalakshmi, Nagalakshmi, are you there? Ravi Sai Teja, Ravi Sai Teja, Lakshmi, Satish Reddy, Satish Reddy, are you there? Trinath, Trinath, ఆన్ చేసి వెళ్ళిపోవటమేనా? త్రినాథ్, కోమల్, కోమల్,
సార్
ఓకే. లక్ష్మీ భవానీ, లక్ష్మీ భవానీ, లక్ష్మీ భవానీ, సాయి నిహారిక,
Sir, yes, sir.
Lakshmi, Lakshmi, what are you doing till now?
Sir, that time mic did not get on, sir. After you call two numbers, then it started, sir. I mean,
Okay.
my
Right.
question.
Are you getting? Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions?
At present, I don't have any questions, sir. If I have, I'll be.
Okay. Okay, we will move on to the next. Right. Sai Manoj is submitted, right? Okay, so that is all about your substitution method. Next we move on to the Master's theorem, another method for solving the recursive equations. This is the another method for solving the recursive equations. Okay, so normally the recursive equation for the divide and conquer technique can be expressed as T of n equal to A into T of n by B plus F of n, where A and B are greater than 1. Okay, you remember this. Very, very important, because your master theorem can be applied if and only if the recursive equation is in this form. What is the form? T of n equal to A into T of n by B plus F of n, where A greater than or equal to 1 and B greater than 1. Okay. So first we check whether the given equation is in this form or not. If it is in this form, then we can apply Master's theorem. So then what we do is, we will check the three cases. The first case is, if f of n is theta of n power c, where c is less than log a, then you can say that T of n is theta of n power log a to the base b. Okay. If f of n is theta of n power c, where c is log a, then T of n is theta of n power c log n. Then if f of n is theta of n power c, where c greater than log a, then T of n is theta of f of n. Okay. So in this way, all of you note down these three. All of you note down these three first. One is c less than log a to the base b, c is log a to the base b, c greater than log a to the base b. Just note down them. Every one of you, please note down this. Because while solving this problem, you have to remember all this. When you remember this, then only you can apply Master's theorem. Lakshmi, can I move on to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Noted?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I
fine.
took screenshots, sir.
Yes? Yes, Lakshmi, any issues? Have you noted?
For now, no, sir. For now, I noted, sir. I noted.
Okay. Now go through this. So here the given equation is T of n is 3 into T of n by 2 plus n square. Okay. T of n is 3t n by 2 plus n square. This is the given equation, right? Check whether it is in the form of A into T of n by b plus f of n. Okay. A into T of n by p plus f of n. So here A into A means 3 into T of n by B. B means 2 plus f of n. F of n is n square. F of n is n square. Okay. Right. Now see f of n. F of n is n square. Right. All of you see this. F of n is n square. So n square means here, just go to previous slide. Here f of n is n square. Where it is matching? First one or second one? Third one. N square. N square means C value 2. Is it greater than log A to the base B? What is the log A to the base B value? Just check that, all of you. So given is T of n is 3t n by 2 plus n square. So this is what given to us, right? So you have to see whether it is in the form of T of n is A into T of n by B plus f of n. Because if the recursive equation is in this form, then only we can apply Master's theorem, right? So the given equation is now in the same form, no problem. So what is A value? A is 3, B is 2, and your f of n is n square. So what you do is, first you compute log A to the base B, that is log 3 to the base 2. What is this value? You compute. Okay. So what is this value approximately? So if you say 4 here, it will be 2. If you take 2 here, it will be 1. So it will be the value of log 3 to the base B is in between 1 and 2. So this value is between 1 and 2. Yes or no? Now see what is the f of n value. You can write this f of n is theta of n square. Yes or no? If you express it in theta of n square. So what is C value here? C is greater than 0. Yes or no? When C is greater than 0, see what happens. When C is greater than 0, you have to check that. Then also you have to check whether C is Just 1 second. Whether C is greater than log A to the base B. What is C value? 2. Is it greater than log 3 to the base 2? Yes or no? So it is true. So when it is true, what happens? T of n is, when it is true, T of n is, Lakshmi, what is T of n then? T of n is theta of n. So, sorry, theta of f of n, right? Theta of f of n. Just hold on. Theta of f of n. So this means f of n is n square, it is theta of n square. So total time complexity is theta of n square. Okay. Hemant Krishna.
Sir, yes, sir.
Understood?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. Jyoti Priya. Jyoti Priya. Sai Manoj.
Yes, sir.
Understood?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Understood.
Okay. Now we will see one more example. All of you solve this now. Is it visible, right? Sai Manoj, can you read
Yes,
out?
sir. Yes, sir. It is visible.
What is there on the slide?
T of n equals 2 into T of n by 2 plus n log n.
Very good. Can you solve this by using Master's theorem?
Yes, sir. I'll try and I'll post
Yeah,
it in.
all of you solve, please. I will ask you randomly. All of you solve. Jyoti Priya. So T of n is 2t of n by 2 plus n log n. So it is in the form of a into t of n by b plus f of n. Yes or no? So because it is in this form, we can apply Master's theorem, right? First thing is check whether Master's theorem can be applied or not. Master's theorem is applied only when the given equation is a into t of n by b plus f of n, right? So here what is a value? A value is 2. What is b value? B value is 2. What is f of n? F of n is n log n, right? So first calculate log a to the base b value. So what is log a to the base value? Log 2 to the base 2. So this is 1, right? Now next calculate f of n. What is f of n? F of n is n log n, right? Given. So you should express it as theta of n power c. You should express it as theta of n power c. And then you check the value of c. N log n should be expressed as theta of n power c. All of you do that. Upendra, have any issues? Upendra, Sai Vishnu.
No, sir. Try.
Have you solved that problem, Upendra?
No, sir, I will do it.
Okay. Nagalakshmi. Nagalakshmi, are you there? Okay, all of you respond to your roll call. 30025. 30025. Shanti Priya. Respond to your roll call. Okay, 39.
Present, sir.
35.
Present, sir.
Present, sir.
5.
Present, sir.
78.
Present, sir.
5. 9.
Sorry, your voice breaking.
219.
Sir. Sir, present, sir.
424. 558. 562. 4.
Sir,
664.
sir, 664 present, sir.
Sir, 632 present, sir.
Your number is gone. 666.
Sir,
Present, sir.
632, sir.
Sir, your voice is breaking, sir.
666.
Sir, 666 present, sir.
Sir, 664 present, sir.
715. Okay.
Sir, 6062 present.
715.
Present, sir.
742. 742. 891.
Present, sir.
936.
Sir, 891 present,
Present, sir.
944. 963.
Present, sir.
989.
Sir, 984, sir. 984.
Hello?
989 present, sir.
Can I call you once again from starting? All of you are ready?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
So,
Okay, then we will see. Next class. Another hour is there now. At the time I will take. So time to time I am downloading your attendance and I will also call your roll call. So try to be alert. Don't think that if you present say present once and if you just quiet you should not get attendance, right? So I have downloaded your attendance also. I will check that. So it will give you when you are leaving, when you are coming back, everything will be recorded. So my request is try to be alert because these are online classes. So you have to be self-disciplined. Otherwise, it is you will face problems, right? Okay, I will close the session now. So by next session, okay.
sir.
Next session,
sir.
చెప్పండి.
Sir, 30025 present, sir.
ఓకే మళ్ళీ తీసుకుంటాలే శాంతి ప్రియ నిన్ను 4 సార్లు పిలిచాను నేను.
Sir, voice break out.
క్లాసులో రెస్పాండ్ అవ్వట్లేదు మీరు.
సార్ నన్ను అసలు పిలవలేదు సార్, అటెండెన్స్ అప్పుడే పిలిచారు.
శాంతి ప్రియ లాస్ట్ క్లాస్ గుర్తుందా? నాకు పేరు బాగా గుర్తు.
సార్ నన్ను అసలు ఇప్పుడు వరకు పిలవలేదు సార్.
లాస్ట్ క్లాస్ మొత్తుకున్నా నీ గురించి, అయినా ఏం నో రెస్పాన్స్.
సార్ నేను ఇక్కడే ఉన్నా సార్, అసలు నేను ఎక్కడికి వెళ్ళలేదు.
ఓకే సరే, ఈసారి నెక్స్ట్ 9:50 క్లాస్ ఉంది కదా. ఇప్పుడు మాస్టర్ పేరు నువ్వే చెప్పాలి, చదువుకొని రా ఈలోపు.
సార్ నోట్స్ కూడా రాసుకున్నాను.
ఓకేనా? ఓకే ఫైన్. ఓకే, at the time I will take attendance once again, no problem. Okay, I will close the session now. చెప్పండి కోమల్.
30410 sir, can you add me in please?
ఎక్కడ పోయావు ఇప్పుడు దాకా?
Yesterday I registered sir.
అర్థం కాల.
Yesterday only I registered, sir.
కాదు ఈ రోజు ఇందాక నేను పిలిచాను క్లాస్లో, ఏం చేస్తున్నావు అంటున్నా.
Respond అయ్యాను, sir.
రెస్పాండ్ అయ్యావా?
Sir, 309.
సరే, ఓకే, నో ఇష్యూస్. జస్ట్ విల్ మీట్ వన్స్ అగైన్ at 9:50. ఓకే, I have downloaded your attendance. I have downloaded your attendance. I will take from that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
But try to be present in 9:50 also.
I was present, sir. Mic unable to unmute me.